Hello, welcome to Clark County Museum. My name is Amber Colbert and I'm the Clark County Museum Administrator. You are here with me today on this beautiful day in the ghost town at Clark County Museum. And ghost towns, typically the first thing we do is kind of figure out, why is it called a ghost town? What is a ghost town? And by definition, a ghost town is a town or a village that the population has abandoned it, no longer has people. A lot of times it still has structures and infrastructure, but it has been abandoned. And that is because the industry that sustained that town or city or village is no longer there. Of course, Southern Nevada is known as the Silver State. So a lot of our ghost towns were due to the mining industry. You rush into a town, you get gold and silver, and eventually it becomes too expensive to mine anymore, and you move on to the next, leaving all those structures behind. So in Nevada, some people say there's about 600 to 1,000 ghost towns across our state. So what you see behind me is our little mock ghost town. Now I say mock, these buildings are not mock. These are true buildings from real ghost towns in Nevada. They've been moved here and preserved here to tell that story. So let's explore some of these structures and our exhibits to see a little bit of that history and the story about how they got here, because they're all kind of unique. So right now we're here at the Tuscarora Jail. This jail was built in the 1880s at the height of the gold and silver rush in Nevada in a small town called Tuscarora. Now this building didn't come directly from Tuscarora to the Clark County Museum. It had an interesting path. It and the Lamoille Toll Cabin, which is also here, both started as a collection item for a very, very interesting character named Dobie Doc. Now, Dobie Doc was the epitome of a Western character. He loved the American West, and he liked to collect it. But unfortunately, people said he had a philosophy that it was not theft if you didn't get caught. In fact, he said, God gives to those who take. And he took a lot of things from our American West and collected them. This jail was one of them, along with a railroad steam engine, a schoolhouse from North Fork, Nevada, the Elko's Chinese Joss house. He had many, many items along with small artifacts. Now, he wanted to make those items into an amusement park in Elko, and he asked the county to actually pay for that, $50,000. And of course, they refused. But Doc still kept his items. In fact, when he moved this jailhouse to his property, he made up these elaborate stories. He put shackles on the wall and told about all the great American outlaws that were jailed here. But of course, people from Tuscarora knew he was a bald-faced liar. None of that happened. In fact, their memory was that there was only a few drunkards that were locked up in this jail. But to tell the true story about how this jail and the other structures got here, we have to go to Las Vegas, the Las Vegas Strip. In 1942, the Last Frontier opened on the Las Vegas Strip. Very nice casino and resort with a Western theme on the interior. It was more contemporary though, and really didn't get that true American West feel to it. And the owners knew this and they wanted to expand. They heard about Doc's collection and they contacted him. So after the owners of the Last Frontier contacted Doc, he of course was ecstatic to open a Western themed park. He packed up his structures along with 2,876 boxes of his collection, and he moved them down here to Nevada. The Last Frontier Village opened as the first themed resort on the Las Vegas Strip. Now you think this would be successful, and it was for about 10 years. In fact, Doc himself would stroll the streets and tell these extravagant stories about the American West and outlaws, most of them not true stories. And he even called himself the curator, and he was given that title. He was very proud, but unfortunately, probably a little too proud, because 10 years after it opened, him and the owners of the Last Frontier had a disagreement. So Doc started packing up some of his things, putting them in storage, and eventually the Last Frontier Village closed. The buildings were then moved, but that wasn't their end of their story. They moved just down to the next town in Boulder City, and in 1960, Fort Lucinda opened. It again was another Western themed amusement park that didn't quite survive that long, and it closed in 1979 to make way for the Gold Strike Inn. Now there was a problem. These buildings had not been maintained properly because they were an attraction. They weren't a preservation. That's when the owners contacted the Clark County Museum. We went and evaluated, and 3 of the buildings were able to be moved. We moved them in 1979 and opened them in 1980, and they've been on display and preserved since. And we continue to preserve those so that they can be seen anytime for years and years to come. So we're at our final building from the last frontier village. This is the Lamoille toll cabin. This would have been on a road in Lamoille, and of course you'd have to pay your toll as you passed it. Moved from that small town in northern Nevada down here to the last frontier village, and then eventually made its way to the Clark County Museum to be preserved for all time. Now these 3 buildings are 3 of 16 historical structures here on our campus. And if you want to explore them, you can do so. We're open 7 days a week from 9 a.m. to 4:30 p.m. with the exception of Thanksgiving Day, Christmas Day, and New Year's Day. And to serve our community, our admission is free. We hope to see you soon and come enjoy some of your history.